G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I am of course going to be talking about the final rounds of the All-Star Qualifiers and which top 10 players from each region will be going on to play in the grand finals next week. With any event, and especially solos, we had a bunch of drama as well. We had accusations of teaming, cheating, stream sniping, all that craziness, and unfortunately we did have some big names fall short, like Mitro, like Wolfies. I want to talk a little about those situations too, because as with anything like this, as soon as a big name doesn't perform, everyone throws around accusations of washed, they played terrible. And I actually want to talk about some of these because from someone who watched the finals in almost every single region, I think people have been a little bit harsh on some of the pros. Also, I want to kick off today's video talking about this new Believers Beach event. Are we going to get a massive map change with this event? Or, in my opinion, will it maybe be a little bit of a letdown that some people aren't expecting, because we do have FNCS All-Stars starting next week. I can't see a major map change happening right before that, but we have a whole bunch of leakers and other people in the community thinking Coral Castle is going to get blown up, so I want to look at all that. If you've somehow missed it and you just don't know what event I'm talking about, we had Fortnite tweet out on June 20th. Yes, I know I'm a couple days late, but we had other stuff to talk about. We had the You're Invited, Save the Date event, Cosmic Summer Celebration, when June 22nd at 9 AM ET, so very soon, where Believer Beach, please reply yes or no to this invitation. We have a little graphic, welcome party coming soon, Believer Beach. Now, Fortnite actually responded to this as well, saying the festivities include new quests, new rewards, and a whole lot of fun with your friends. Looking forward to sharing more about this 2-week party starting June 22nd. So a lot of people have talked about what this could be. It's obviously going to be a party. It was teased in the actual introduction to this season. If you remember, in the trailer, there was that video where it looked like there was a party going on and it was Believers Beach. That's where the crash pads are, that's where everything is. And we kind of saw this coming. Something was going to happen at Believers Beach. A lot of people have led this to be an extension that Coral Castle is going to get destroyed. I've talked about that in previous videos as well. We've had leaks from people like Hypex saying that Coral Castle will be destroyed, so it would make sense. We're welcoming the aliens. It's right next to Coral Castle. You could very easily see how this would result in Coral Castle being destroyed. The only thing I have towards that is Epic Games has been really big about saying they are not going to do major map changes right before tournaments, and they've stuck to that for the most part. We actually haven't had really major updates right before FNCS. Cash Cups is different. I know, I'm not going to try and pretend we haven't had tournaments like we did last season where one region played without infantry rifles and tacs, and then all of a sudden guns were introduced into the next region. So I know that usually happens around Cash Cups, but usually with FNCSs, especially All-Stars, a $3 million tournament on one day. This is $3 million being given away on a single day. Do I think they're going to make a massive map change right before that? Potentially, but it makes me less confident. Do I want a massive map change? You guys already know. Yes, I would love Coral Castle to be destroyed and have a huge new POI added there. With other things, I've been since the start of this season, I'm all team alien. I'm team nuke the map. I just want a new map. So even if it's right before All-Stars FNCS, I mean, I'm going to feel bad for the pros. I'm going to understand, but Coral Castle is not a very well-known and practiced drop spot anyway. The All-Stars format has already felt less competitive. I love the format, but when you invite the top 90 players based on their trio performances and only 10 got in off their solo performances, I've already talked about how there's issues of inviting entire trios who are now splitting whole drop spots. At the FNCS, as much as I'm excited for it, I've been watching all the games. I love it. I'm going to be there enjoying it. I don't think it is as competitive as regular FNCSs, and I think with that whole skill games component as well, maybe Epic sees it that way, so that might change their decision on having a major map change right before it, but I guess we'll have to see. I'm really hoping it happens. This will be the summer festivals. If you guys don't know, every single year in Fortnite around summer, they have these kind of events where there's quests, there's new rewards, you win a bunch of stuff, really trying to bring that casual player base back in, a lot of the kids who play the game more casually and just want some extra content because they're on summer break. This is where I hoped they would maybe transition that into competitive, maybe some daily duos, some daily tournaments. Epic, please, it's summer break, it'd be a great time. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I love the idea. It's summer break. This is when the game is going to be thooming. It's going to be bumping. Everyone's going to be on and playing it a whole bunch. Add some tournaments. Add some stuff to get the competitive scene going as well, especially bringing those casual players into competitive. But we'll have to see. It's going to be really exciting either way. This is also going to kick off the arena point reset, I believe. A lot of us are saying that right after this, there is going to be an update and then the arena points will be reset. It does coincide with the date, whether it's straight afterwards, whether it's a few hours. I haven't really been able to find anything that conclusively says it. Either way, I'm super excited for an arena point reset. I talked about this on stream and I'll give you guys some more details the next few days, but with tournaments going away for 3 weeks after FNCS, I'm actually looking to make a Path to Pro video series. I'm going to be pretty much spending 3 to 4 weeks getting as good at Fortnite as I possibly can.
In over 1,000 solo Fortnite matches, I have 1 win.
And sharing that journey with you guys so you can improve as well. I'm going to get some coaches in. I've already talked to Reed. I've talked to Miro, guys like that, to kind of help me, like, you know, coach me with my mechanics so I can learn what routines work the best, what movements do I need to do, what do I need to work on. I'm going to try and do some videos where I like play on maybe 60 to 100 ping, try to give you guys some tips on how to play on high ping, stuff like that. You guys love the guide content. I want to take that chance to actually, for once, put some solid time into my own gameplay and see how good I can get and use that as a learning experience for you guys. So if you want those kind of videos, subscribe to the channel. They'll be coming over the next little bit once FNCS finishes. And yeah, just want to kind of tease that one in there. Just before I move on to talking about the All-Star qualifiers, I did want to add that in the past, I've kind of felt like events aren't that important. I don't really care. All I want is gameplay and map changes, but they always do take me back to a better time. I mean, every time I go and watch my video of the Travis Scott concert, it takes me back to a time in Fortnite where I was just playing arena all day, going crazy. You get that mad nostalgia hit. So I hope this is a good event. I really do. And normally when they put a lot of effort into the events, we get something cool and exciting right after it that changes the game. The concerts are usually different, but the events always feel like they've had some kind of a significant change. So I'd be a bit upset if at least we don't get Coral Castle destroyed or some kind of major map or gameplay changes. HypeX has talked about a whole bunch of new guns that are supposed to come into the game. We've talked about these low gravity biomes, these new low gravity weapons. I mean, right before the arena reset to have some fun in arena. I'm excited for it either way. I'm going to be watching it. I'm most likely going to be streaming it. So make sure you guys don't miss it because I think it's going to be fun. All right, now moving on to the All-Star FNCS qualifiers. These were super exciting. I've been waking up at 2 a.m. every morning the last 3 days so I could start streaming at 3 a.m. and do viewing parties for these for EU. I've watched all the EU, NA East, and NA West games, and they were absolutely fantastic. Today was the round 4, the finals, so the top 100 players from the first 3 rounds. Of this, the top 10 players will qualify and go through into the grand finals next week to play for a share of $3 million. So there's a lot on the line, and already you guys have probably seen it on Twitter, on timelines, everyone complaining about teaming, about stream sniping, about cheating. I just want to address the fact that I almost never talk about this kind of stuff in my videos because I just don't like the drama. I really try to avoid it these days. I really try to focus on more fun, positive stuff. If there's something like a few videos ago where I had to talk about a hacker winning a cash cup, I still try to avoid names and doing the whole witch hunting thing because a lot of this stuff is just speculation. There's never really any solid evidence of people cheating or teaming, and if there is, they always get actioned by Epic. I don't really like this trial by community thing. I don't, hate on anyone who does. If you make content like that, or if you're making tweets and talking about it, people care about it. People find it interesting. I totally get that, but I don't really personally like talking about it because it just brings drama towards me when I'm trying to stream and just have a good time. So even though I know some of you guys might like it if I covered this stuff, even if I cover it in a very unbiased way and just present what happened, there's still repercussions. Sometimes the person wasn't actually doing it. The evidence looks bad. They now cop a whole bunch of hate for it, and I feel personally responsible for that. So I just don't want to use my platform for that. I'm going to talk about how, yes, there were issues today of teaming and stream sniping, and that happens in all solos events. It's the reason why I love solos in theory. I always think I want really good solos tournaments to come back, but then whenever they do, I just realize how much drama they cause and how inherently uncompetitive they are. Yeah, it's really cool to see that pro dominate and they pop off, and some of the really good solo players do perform consistently. Overall, it is the least competitive game mode, not only just because of Fortnite and because, you know, if you can get headshot sniped or one pumped or you disconnect or any of those things happen, your chance of points are completely gone. Even just down to the fact that, you know, a lot of these guys are in Discord calls with each other. A lot of them are talking about how they're going to split their drop. A lot of them are agreeing not to fight on their rotates. It's just how it is, and there's next to no way to stop it, and it's why solos to me will always just be less competitive. It's why duos is my favorite competitive game mode, and then trios. My ranking has always been duos, trios, solos, squads. Those are how I always rank them. So they've been fun to watch, and I'm sure some of you guys are expecting me to talk about accusations being thrown around by some big content creators and pros, but I just don't feel right doing that. I'm not going to talk about it. Just know that yes, there was some issues like that going on, but overall I'd rather focus on who did qualify and what actually happened rather than hearsay or this guy told this guy to land on him and this guy was in a call with this guy, because none of us really know. So I wanted to address that because people always seem to tag me in this kind of stuff, which I get why you want me to talk about it, but I'm always going to try and avoid it as best I can. Kicking off with EU, our top 10 was the Legend 27, which is Hi Chris, Solo Vino, Seahorse W, Vortex R, Loopboy Fastrocky, I know I pronounced his name wrong, I'm sorry, Peach, Bellix, Not Bad Sniper, Voltiax or Voltia X, and then Panix. Also worth mentioning in here as well, Legend 27 and Vortex, that's Hi Chris and Vortex, they are the two players that were dropping on Henjanus Chapix in Craggy Cliffs, and my man Vortex proves why he's been going craggy since the dawn of time, and why I'm guessing he's going to be going craggy in the finals against Hen, and we're going to get a rematch. This guy is an absolute beast. His game one was an 11 elimination 11th, and that caught my eye. He had 2 throwaway games, or I guess technically 3. His second game was a 91st place 0 elim. He got into a fight outside Craggy and then got body sniped from a third party, so then the other player was able to beat him. Then his last game, he got a headshot sniped from the mountain on top of Craggy by the player in last place. Again, no hate to that guy, but again, it just shows you that that kind of death isn't going to happen all the time, and it was a really good or really lucky shot. He still came fourth with only those 4 games as well, and a 2 elim 63rd. So this guy's a beast. I just wanted to throw that out there because I know that he copped a lot of hate for dropping on Hen. A lot of people just expecting he'd give up the drop spot when Vortex proved what he can do with Craggy Cliffs. And I know obviously when you take the top 90 players out, these lobbies are going to be inherently a little bit easier, but he popped off and I wanted to include that. But yes, you'll notice in that top 10, we are missing some of the really, really big names. We are missing most notably Wolfies and Metro. Again, a little bit of context on Metro especially. A lot of people are going to, you know, call Metro out for this. He didn't play well. He played terrible. He's washed. He gave up because he tweeted out that GG's, it's over before he was actually finished. He actually played considerably quite well for how bad his points are. I would actually argue that Metro got, I don't want to say super unlucky. It was a little bit aggressive on Metro's part, but if you go back and actually watch the games where Metro went down, because he did go down very early a few times, it always was him getting someone to like 60 or 70 white health, going to jump in, and them just hitting ridiculous shots, like double tacks for 100 pre-fire before he even hits the ground. One was, I think a guy got a triple dink with his AR hip fire. Like, I don't want to kind of have this mentality going around that Metro is now terrible, he's washed and he doesn't care. Yes, he was playing aggressive, but it was smart aggression from me right until the last push. It happened 3 times in a row. I watched all of them because I was watching the replay mode. He'd get someone to 60, 70 white, playing really smart, getting good angles, getting tags, and then he'd just jump in for the finish and always just somehow lost it. If he'd won those 3 fights, he could have ended up doing quite well. So I wanted to clear that up. As far as Wolfies goes, he just wasn't really playing the best. I'm not going to lie. It was a different situation. It wasn't really just the fact that he was going down like Metro wasn't a few bad fights. He just wasn't playing the best. He did say played awful and still qualled tomorrow was free before the finals. Then when he played the finals, not much really changed. It was just, they got a bit unlucky too. Wolfies and Mitro were both dropping Slurpee Swamps, and the first 3 zones all went far north. They just weren't really getting their surge. They were getting stuck on edge. Unfortunately, Slurpee doesn't really have any good vehicles, so they were struggling to make the far rotates. It just looked like they were out of practice with solos, which is going to be the story for a lot of these players. I don't want a lot of you guys to call out washed on these players who don't do well when they haven't had solos practice for months and months. And it's 6 games. Like I said, when first place can get headshot sniped by last place, there's a lot that can go wrong that doesn't really have that much to do with the pros. I don't want to take away from those guys doing well, because I'm genuinely so impressed at how some of these players are still so dominant without any practice for months. But I got to back up the big guys here. From watching the games, I don't think Wolfies, Mitro are washed. I don't think they're terrible. I don't think they even played that ridiculously bad. They just didn't have a good game plan, and a few things went against them. Moving on to NA East top 10, we had Asian Jeff come in first on 97. He pulled out a ridiculous 6 elimination win in the final game to clutch up the qualification. He got so many points in that last game. It was a huge jump up. He was outside. I think he was just inside top 20 coming into that last game, so big performance from him. We had Sharkman in second, Squish RR in third, Justice in fourth. I think this is Me Too in fifth, or Mel, I'm actually not sure, sorry. Peterbot in sixth, Qua in seventh, Ocus, Chronic, and now this one's annoying me. Everyone's saying it's Sean, and some people are saying it's Shixon. I always thought it was Chronic Sean. I'm so sorry if I got that wrong, mate. He performed insanely well. And we had Clay, so 2 guys coming off the console track. Actually 3 if you include Peterbot inside that top 10. We just had Yuz fall short. If you guys don't know, Yuz is my boy. I've been gassing him like crazy. He played so phenomenally well and went down at the very end. He came 17th. If he'd made it to 15th, that would have been the difference, and he would have qualified. That's how close it was. We also had Iomzo. Obviously, you guys know I made a video about him recently, winning the UEFA Cup, absolutely dominating. He went down in 15th place in the very last game, and he was one of those players that did have a bunch of drama around him. Did he get stream sniped? Did he get targeted? All that kind of stuff. So I want to just kind of defend that a little bit, that Iomzo did play really well, and there was potentially some suspicious activity that stopped him from qualifying. But NA East games were really good. They were super stacked, almost active surge every single game on every single zone. They did have a very north focused zone again, same as EU. I don't know what was up with that, but only 6 games is really hard for players to kind of jump up and have their big moment. We had some really big players on NA East, like L2 Coop. Obviously, we had Coop win DreamHack and solo FNCS. Unfortunately, underperform here in the finals, but he wasn't the only one. There was some really big pros that went down. I mean, one of the only bigger pros, and again, no offense to any of the guys in top 10, obviously Asian Jeff is quite well known, but I feel like as a higher tier pro, Ocus being one of the only ones that really performed insanely well. Peterbot and Justice, I think, are incredibly underrated. Sharkman did well as Squish, and I want to make sure I make that clear that anyone I talk about in solos as being someone who I didn't expect to perform well, or I haven't heard about them, that's not me trying to ego or flame them. If anything, that's why I do love solos. Despite all the RNG, despite all the annoying stuff, it gives a chance for new and up-and-coming names to jump up and prove themselves, because I was really impressed with a whole bunch of these guys when I was watching them, and I think a few of them could do really well going into the finals next week, because that's what this is all about. This is top 10. They made it to the grand finals, but they didn't win any money for this. Grand finals is what I have my eyes on. As for how well do I think any of these top 10 will do when it comes to grand finals, it's going to depend a lot on their drop spots. Because you didn't have those big 90 names already in there, a lot of these guys got, I don't want to say good drop spots, because most of them weren't going major POIs uncontested. Actually, quite a few of them went more of the shambles routes, or went more of the kind of IO guard houses and stuff like that. But when you're in the grand finals, a lot of those spots have already been claimed. A lot of them have already been alphaed, because those guys have been qualified for weeks now. They've known they're invited. A lot of them have already staked their drop spots. So most of these guys are going to have to contest one of those drop spots or find a really shambles drop, because they didn't get the chance to claim their drop spot before anyone else. And they don't really have the reputation, most of them, to be able to say, this is my drop spot and no one's going to drop on them, because they're the qualifiers. They're the players who couldn't already get invited because they've been doing so well. So a lot of them don't have the reputation. So I'm a little bit scared for how some of them will go. But honestly, some of the best performances this weekend came out of really terrible drop spots with just a decent strategy. As far as the actual grand finals go, I'm going to be making a video in the next few days breaking down the drop spots for NA East and EU, who's going where, who's been performing well in scrims and all that. I just wanted to wait until we got these top 10 players to round it out before I made the video. Alright guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please chuck a like on it. Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on anything I talked about today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.